Loki's gonna be an amazing show, honestly, but there's 10 things they could do to make sure it doesn't end up bad. Today I'm gonna cover 10 mistakes from the MCU the show needs to avoid. Welcome back to the finale, let's get into the video. Number 10, focusing too much on Loki as a tragic figure. As far as sympathy goes, Loki has received far too much of this, with most of it being unwarranted. His worst traits have been ignored, mainly because Loki was presented as a tragic figure, which wasn't even on purpose, but ended up happening due to the MCU not giving enough characterization toward the ones he wronged. Loki doesn't need to paint himself as a villain, but it should avoid bringing their tragic status back since it diminishes the values of the supporting characters. Number 9, presenting a love interest as a way of character development. A degree of codependency has been heavily emphasized in the MCU, with several characters like Tony Stark, Gamora, Thor, Star-Lord, among others, all undergoing positive character development due to them falling in love. This has inadvertently furthered the notion that a person can change mainly due to their romantic interest, which isn't exactly the best practice. Moreover, it would completely be unsuitable for a character like Loki. Number 8, turning the main character into a caricature of himself. By this point, fans have become wise to Loki's wonky sense of logic, which has been played for laughs. However, the MCU made the mistake of turning him into too much of a jokester by the end of his original run, as he became a one-trick pony. The TV series needs to dabble in this area in creative ways by having Loki use his funny personality as a means of deception rather than cracking jokes. Number 7, characters making snap decisions. A lot of the fight against Thanos made no sense, with the major ones where characters snapped even though they had a plan. Loki has done so himself in the past, such as when he commanded the Destroyer to kill Thor, only to later claim he always thought of Thor as his brother. The Loki series is placed in a position where snap decisions are a possibility since the titular character has been known to fly off the handle. Number 6, suddenly showing previously unknown powers. Several characters like Star-Lord, Scarlet Witch, and Thor have had these sudden power-ups, only for them not to factor too much to later in the stories. This mistake would feel even bigger for Loki since his new powers would be treated as a big deal in the show, but won't be of significance in the grand scheme of things. Loki said his skills have been fleshed out enough for his real fans to understand how they work. Number 5, leaving supporting characters with ambiguous endings. Loki himself is a supporting character in the Thor movies, with many of the fans complaining how the 4-year stretch of his uncertain position on the fake Odin was left unaddressed. This is something the MCU has made a mess of in general. The mystery surrounding the statuses of characters kept ambiguous. The Loki series is most likely going to be a one-time thing like WandaVision. Number 4, not mentioning obvious plot points and references. On other occasions, the MCU has opted to avoid mentioning or clearing up obvious questions from fans. This has been somewhat of an insult toward viewers who watch these stories for resolutions. The most anticipated character fans want to see in Loki is his brother Thor. Fans won't be happy if his status isn't mentioned at all, as it's the first thing they'll want to know. With so much time and travel confusion happening as well, the MCU's mistake of ambiguity should be avoided at all costs in favor of offering clarity. Number 3, uneven display of powers. Many like to argue that Loki is better than Thor due to his knack for using magic alongside his fight skills, but the MCU made the mistake of making him too easy to beat as the franchise went on. In the end, the powers were made very uneven as he's beaten powerful characters at certain points, but then lost to others who seem weaker. Number 2, downplaying villainous behavior. Although Loki has a lot of fans, it shouldn't hide the fact that he's betrayed a lot of characters. However, the MCU has a bad habit of downplaying the work of villains to the point where their malevolent activities have taken a backseat to their charisma. Loki won't be the villain this time around, meaning it's essential that the actual baddies are shown as the antagonists they are in order to highlight Loki's own protagonist role. Number 1, presenting too many points of view. At times, the MCU has seemed cluttered with too many characters on screen. Avengers Infinity War did a good job in juggling this, but did suffer from telling the story in simple terms. Loki is a series that needs to have the main character front and center, so bringing different points of view will be counterproductive. The MCU has also used different characters to steer the focus away from the main protagonist for the shock value when the latter character suddenly returns, but since Loki has already had the mysterious aura previously, it's time for viewers to follow his story rather than guess what he's up to. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any of our videos in the future. Also watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you'll love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video. So long.